So it's been a while, not gonna lie to you. I think this is the first time I've turned the camera on in about 2 weeks. I got a good one, so we'll take a look at it. It's one of our NES trucks. It's a 450 cabin chassis. And they blew off this cat hose, placed it themselves, but the truck still wouldn't run. So I've already checked it for codes. It had a bunch of codes on it, but nothing we're going to worry about. But typically, a couple things can happen when you blow that charged air cooler hose off. It could just be faulty. It's plastic. Or you could be building up a lot of back pressure in the exhaust. The air's got nowhere to go, so it goes back out the front of the vehicle, stresses that pipe, and it breaks. So what we want to look at is airflow coming in to the engine and airflow going out. I had to let the thing reset there. So we've got diesel particulate filter inlet pressure, 0.02. It's going to tell us how much pressure's inside how much air can flow through the exhaust, and if it can't flow through, we'll build up pressure on that sensor. Exhaust back pressure and our mass airflow grams per second. That's what we're interested in. So let's start it up. Check that out. I don't think I've ever seen that high a diesel particulate inlet pressure ever, and that's at idle. We didn't even rev it up. So it's slightly clogged. So we're gonna crawl under and make sure the sensor's okay. But typically got to do a manual regen, but we're not even gonna be able to. We can't get the truck to run. So they're gonna have to either replace this exhaust system or send it out and have it cleaned or something like that. So we got an extreme amount of pressure in the exhaust. So what's the next step? The fact that the truck won't run, and we're building 11.5 pounds of pressure in the exhaust. Pretty sure that's accurate. Let's disconnect the exhaust and see what happens. But an even easier thing to do, we'll just disconnect the sensor from the exhaust, it's just a little hose, and see what happens. Which I've already done, because it's kind of hard to get under it on the ground. Well, I'm going to move it over this lift over here. You guys are going to love this. It's all coming out of this tiny little hose. We didn't quite make it. game of inches. But I didn't quite make it. Alright, I gotta get some help, push this thing up on here. So this truck won't make it on the lift under its own power, and I'm afraid I'm gonna damage it trying to keep back and forth. It's just it runs too poorly. And I gotta get a bunch of guys to help me get over this little hump here, but I'm gonna try this all by my lonesome, a little ingenuity. I've got these two trucks at my disposal. This truck doesn't have any tow hooks, so I'm going to move this truck over to here and this truck over to here, and then I'm going to use the tow hook and that frame with a tow strap hooked to that tow hook to pull this truck onto the lift. So I'm going to take those wheel chocks and I'll put one behind the tire and the other one up in right in here somewhere where I want the truck to stop, and then I'll pull the line tight and I'll put it in neutral and let it settle, and then go right forward. Let's see what happens. This was a PCM staying energized and killing the battery. So you disconnect the PCM and you move it. Once I get it on the flat portion of the lift, I can put it anywhere I want. That'll give me a ballpark. Alright, let's stress out some part pulls. Steering wheel turned on me because it's got so much stress on that tire, but I think it'll be okay. That's what you do when you're working by yourself, eh? So that worked out pretty good. Looks like if that strap would have broke. It went flying through the parking lot. There was a Corvette that came in. Yeah, there it is. So that Corvette was behind the truck for a little bit. The thing would have went flying right through that, shoot it up. As it stands, it might have made it to the Dodge there, which no loss on that. All right, let's get this thing there and have a look at it. And you see that wheel shot worked out pretty good because you got plenty of room for this light. You can actually roll it forward more, but that'll work for me. Got her safely up in the air. I'll show you what I was talking about. So we can disconnect the old girl right there. Or I was just able to simply roll under here, disconnect that hose from that nipple. But it wasn't enough to make it run good. If I disconnected up the turbo downpipe, I would have been able to drive it a little better, but we're okay. It's got to come loose anyway. And now I can do it standing up. So get this thing out of here. We got a whole bunch of connections. We got 4 of these sensors. We got our DPF injector. The donuts are really heavy duty and beefy, so we just simply unbolt them from the frame. You don't even bother trying to wrangle them out of there. We're going to take the cross member out, so we'll support the transmission. Get the cross member right out of here. That way we can just bring this right down. Then we've got the knock sensor, and this is a little bit of extended frame, so we've got this extension. So we'll just take this extension completely out of the vehicle. That way we're not fighting, hanging up on that, and then I can just bring this unit down relatively easily. And these are more the hangers to hold it in there, right there. So we'll take this out first, and then we'll take the rest of it out. This is another joy of working in the South. This is a 2012 model, 150 something thousand miles. And that's the hardware, factory hardware on the exhaust, which I'm going to put right back on when we get done. If I were in the Northeast, I would have torched every one of those off there. So I'm just going to use a ratchet strap to pull that tailpipe back. So that takes care of that. We're going to try to reuse the gasket and the hardware. Both gaskets are okay, they'll need to be replaced. So now we've got all that room to slide that back and forth. And you can see how aggravating it was to get that out of there. You can imagine that monstrosity, which the lighting's horrible. I apologize, you really can't see. So I wouldn't have to walk around this stand, so hold the transmission up once I took that member out. I went ahead and took these loose. So just 2 bolts, pull that on. Now we got a little bit of a press fit here. So we're gonna pry that loose, which is no big deal. I'm taking all the hangers loose, and I left a couple of nuts on there to keep this thing from hitting the ground. Now we're gonna just put this transmission jack under here, hold it up, because I gotta be careful. I got all the sensors still in here. I don't want these to get damaged. You know, this thing to roll over, bounce off the ground. I mean, this thing's trash. I don't care about it. If it hit the floor and bounced 1,000 times, it wouldn't matter. But these I care about. I gotta reuse these. to it. So this is an older system, because this is the knock sensor, only has one after the SCR, so it really doesn't know what's happening before the SCR. And they really don't want you to separate this connection from the module, but what they want and what they get are sometimes they don't coincide. And you can unplug it from the module, which is right there. Then this is EGT number 14 or number 4, or number 13, depending on how you want to look at it. So this is the SCR. Right in here there's a mixer. That's the depth injector. This is EGT 13, 14, depending on how you want to look at it. This is our DPF. EGT 12, DPF sensor, which is ahead of the DPF, our diesel oxidation catalyst, and then our EGT 11, which tells us what's coming out of the turbo. And then up there is the downpipe. So let's get this on the floor and swap all the rubbers and all of the sensors.